Hey, everybody. Welcome to Cincinnati Real Producers podcast, powered by Nextdoor Photos. I'm Patrick Braddick, owner and publisher of Cincinnati Real Producers.
And I'm Daniel Ziegler, owner of Nextdoor Photos. Every week, we're getting to know Cincinnati's top realtors.
Our goal is to elevate and inspire the real estate community throughout greater Cincinnati.
All right, today we have Jon DeCurtins with ERA Real Solutions Realty. Jon is in his 15th year selling real estate and has closed over 700 transactions, landing him in the top 1% of realtors in Cincinnati. His career sales volume stands at nearly $200 million. In 2022 alone, Jon's sales volume topped $24 million. Welcome to the show, Jon DeCurtins.
Man,
Thank you, boys.
welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
That's great stuff, man.
Glad to have you.
I'm going to segue straight to a story of when I met with Jon. I had known Jon for a year, and I got to say this real quick. First of all, welcome to the show. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
coming on. But I stepped into his office, and at the time, there was like these big glass like walls. And I sat down, and Jon's like, "Oh my gosh, I'll be right back. I'll be right back." And he runs away, comes back with a plate, and there's like cookies on them. And he comes in, he's like, do you guys want a cookie? He's like, I'm just, happy holidays, this or that. And comes over, hands me a cookie, and I pick it up, and it's a fake cookie, and a spider jumps out at me. And I remember thinking, what in the world? Like, I fell out of the chair. And he like turned around and ran away because he was laughing so hard. It was the funniest thing, man.
I'm sorry about that.
No.
The story I thought you were going to tell was when I made you do a shot of Fireball walking into
At my own
Zika's-
event, yeah.
At Zika's Christmas party. Was it? Oh no, it was a Real
It was
Producers
just
event.
it was
at-
an RP party,
Zika's.
man. And
Yeah.
you're like, dude, I can't stay long. I'm going down to Norris, but I wanted to come take a shot with you. And I was like, what? It was awesome.
Well,
Such a good guy.
hopefully
man.
I got a surprise for you today.
Yeah.
I have to think of something else because I didn't bring anything, but I forgot about the spider.
I'll never forget those, man. Those are some of the highlights of my career.
Oh,
So
great.
I appreciate that.
Didn't know that about you, Jon. Are you a bit of a prankster?
Can be. I love watching them on TikTok. I can tell you that. That's a daily of. I love it.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
No, we don't. I don't do a whole lot. Mostly because the people I'm around don't enjoy it
Yeah.
as much as I do.
Oh, it was
But,
great. I love it.
I love watching them, but I still have that spider. So
Yeah.
actually, one of our past assistants, Jenna McKenna, used to get us. She was a little bit of a prankster.
Was she?
I need to break. I have it sitting on my desk every once in a while.
That's
Nice.
awesome.
Yeah.
All right, well,
So
you heard it here. Watch out.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So
That's great.
we'll have at it, Daniel. Let's
Yeah.
get rocking, buddy.
Absolutely. I mean, this podcast, we're all about getting to know you, getting to know our guests on a deeper level, more personal level. So I like to start it back, maybe even pre-real estate. You want to
wow.
kind of talk us through what you did before you got into real estate?
Sure. I was actually a tennis teaching pro.
Really?
Yeah. I come from Lima, Ohio. Had an unbelievable childhood. Couldn't have asked for better parents, a better older brother, and we were a tennis family. My parents fell in love with the sport
Yeah.
in the tennis boom in the 70s and 80s,
Yeah.
and got us going super early. And my wife, who's my high school sweetheart, is also from Lima. I've spent 46. This will be my 46th Thanksgiving in Lima.
Oh, wow.
No
And
kidding.
45th Christmas. We spent one Christmas in Florida. But
Good for you, man.
yeah, so I played at UC,
Okay.
and actually at the end of my sophomore year, I don't know if you guys know this, but the tennis program was cut
Really?
because of Title IX. And
Really?
Rob Williams from Fox 19 actually came to our house. I lived with two other tennis buddies, teammates,
Mhm.
and interviewed us in this crappy, yeah. So
nice
house.
beautiful Clifton
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
huh?
So I love Clifton. I love UC.
Yeah.
My wife is a Bearcat. She was on the dance team, and to this day, we're diehard fans. But that summer, I think it was that summer, which would have been '98. I became the tennis pro at Turpin Hill Swim Club,
Very cool.
and so for the next 2 years, I taught tennis while being a full-time student.
Really?
And then became a full-time pro in 2000. Anderson varsity girls tennis coach. Beachmont Racket Club Pro. And you know what? It was the best thing for me because Anderson Township just accepted me,
Yeah.
you know, and I assimilated into that community.
Yeah.
And I was building a massive network.
Right.
And it you know, so I did that until 06, 07. My brother says to me, hey, you want to flip a house? He was a tennis pro too. And we were together. We worked together every day. So we flipped the house. We bought the house at an auction, Brett. Yeah. August 3rd, 2005. And we sold it August 3rd, 2006.
No
Oh, wow.
kidding.
Yeah, we actually did okay.
Really?
And so at that point, my wife had a great job. She was a contractor. She worked for Ipsos, Understanding Unlimited. So all of her clients were Procter & Gamble. So she was doing very well, and I was able to stop the tennis and start real estate full time, and basically buying, holding, and flipping. My brother and I.
That's awesome.
And yeah, halfway through, you know, a couple years into that, I decided, why don't I get my license? That way I can stop bugging this guy.
Yeah.
You know, who was letting me in, who was a tennis guy, Joe Lightsey. And you know, so I got my license in at the end of 07, and it just took off immediately. That
Yeah.
my, you know, my sphere of influence, my people.
Right.
But I, you know, I maybe bought a couple more, flipped a couple more, but really got into the real estate thing. I've always loved houses.
Yeah.
You know, in the 7th or 8th grade, I took my science fair project, and it was this board, like folding 4 foot tall by 5 feet wide. And I flipped it over and laid down in my room and drew my neighborhood.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And I come from, my dad's family in the mid 1800s came over from Switzerland, and they built churches up near Lima.
Wow.
Maria Stein, Salina, St. Mary's.
That's cool.
I have this awesome poster. Next time you guys are in my office, I should show it to you. The Lima News, and it's got my family, great grandpa and grandpa and great uncles from the mid 1800s. It's got a picture of them, and it lists all these churches they built. So I have it in my blood.
Yeah, you do.
And you know, my tennis family has taken care of me. You know, Alicia and I got married in 03. We invited tons of families who came up to Lima for our wedding, and still to this day, I still see them and talk to them. And that Turpin Hills community, I love it. My brother was at Ivy Hills, which is where I live now. And you know, tennis is. And I'm still a member at Beachmont Racket Club.
That's awesome.
And just Monday morning, one of the members came up to me and said, John, I was watching your TikTok. I've only put like 7 or 8 TikToks, and only one, none about real estate.
Really?
And I'm like, yeah, I need you to go to my Insta or my Facebook, really.
Yeah.
But he's like, boy, you've got a good life. You know, you've got a beautiful family. And it's like, wow, yeah, you're right. You know, it hit me. Just
the
this
ultimate
Monday.
compliment right there, man.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
So I've had a good upbringing, and tennis has been great, and now it's been real estate for 15 years, and it's been a heck of a run. And it doesn't, for whatever reason, going in and seeing houses, whether it's a seller or with a buyer, it never gets old. I mean, I've got some great stories, and I look forward to the sellers telling me those stories when I go through those houses. You know, I had one on Saturday morning. I woke up, I couldn't wait to go through the house.
Right.
So even 700, you know, I mean, I guess I've probably been through over 1,000 houses, right? If I've sold 700,
you're right.
Oh,
maybe
easily.
double that.
I was going to say.
Probably way more. Yeah.
Probably 2,000 houses.
Right.
And I love it. You know, 15 years in, it doesn't get old.
I think that's what's fun about real estate. I mean, every day is different because every house is a little different. Even these cookie cutter homes, I mean, they are all different at the end of the day, you know, just because of where they are and all the different things. So it is pretty fun.
So, you know, I dabbled in it for a couple of years, you know, back to what you were before we got started here. I started my own brokerage, just an entrepreneur. I think it was December 24th, 2009. It was called DeCurtins Realty. And a couple of years into that, I had 13 agents, and figured out that, you know, I'm a people person. and I love to service people, and I love going in and having that kitchen conversation.
Right.
So I merged with Jeremy Raby in ERA Real Estate. I met with everybody in, all different brokerages. They're all great, but for some reason, Jeremy and I, we had a UC connection. He's from Laughlin.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I merged DeCurtins Realty with ERA. And let's see, that was July 1st, 2014, and I've never looked back. So I've let him, deal with the problems and the recruiting, and I've been able to sell. I managed that office for the Anderson office for several years, and until recently I had him buy me out. My wife and I love Florida. Jeremy owns 3 brokerages in Florida.
Yeah.
On the Southwest coast, which is just fantastic.
It's beautiful.
So I'm getting my Kentucky license now, which has reciprocity with Florida.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, but I love selling, and I love meeting people, and that's kind of been the path.
Yeah, and that seems pretty evident. I mean, I've known you for I don't know how many years now.
Since that spider.
Since
the spider incident.
Spider, yeah. That was before that, though. You're just the type of person that being able to carry on a conversation with anyone, and then also making people feel comfortable. Like it's just an easygoing type of vibe, and I think that's probably what resonates with a lot of people or buyers, or being comfortable with who they're working with.
Yeah.
And I think you carry yourself in a very professional manner, but also in a comforting way for people to be able to say, all right, this is really what we're looking for. Like kind of open up to you and stuff like that. I don't know. It's just, you're just a great guy, man. So
thank you.
But yeah,
one of my neighborhood buddies said, like last year, he said to me, man, you have that charm.
Yeah.
And in real estate, that's what's great is you don't have to be the smartest guy or gal. You just got to work, and you got to love people.
Right.
You got to, listen and hear what they want.
Right.
Buyers right now, it's tough. And, I have this story of this buyer bought Marymount one time, and I didn't do a great job listening. It was a long time ago. And, they wanted to go through this house. And I said, I don't know if it's big enough, and I don't think you're going to like it. And I had them and their 2 girls with me, the husband and wife, in the car with me. And we go through the house, and they love it. And we got it. I remember pulling out of the driveway and said, well, I guess I'll keep my mouth shut from now on, my opinions on, houses. And all 4 of them burst out laughing,
Right.
So, but yeah, I mean, I love servicing people.
Yeah.
And I'm able to do, we do our best. 15 years, I haven't done it alone. I've had a great broker. I've got a great manager now. Chris Sanker fell into my lap, who you both know. Back, 2011. He started the day my youngest son was born, and what a blessing Chris was, and my sister-in-law, Anne-Marie DeCurtins, was to help me, get going.
Sure.
You hear about teams. I've had a big team. I've got a small team now, and you can't do it alone. But Chris, Chris and I formed an awesome bond, and we're no longer colleagues at ERA. But we talk once a month at least. Yeah. And we go to lunch, and we have an annual Christmas. So Chris was great at getting me going. And now I have a full-time assistant, licensed assistant, Beth Alex, who's my right arm. I mean,
That's awesome.
she just, I wouldn't be where I am now, 24 million last year, close to 20 million this year, 40 to 50 transactions without people like Beth and Kristen Hess-Winters and, Jeremy Raby and the ERA team. So
sure. Well, it's funny you mentioned Chris, because every time I see Chris a lot, I just randomly run into him, and I was like, "Hey, did you talk to John?" And he's like, "Dude, do I?" He's like, "I would." He was like, "Just because we don't work, specifically together anymore." He's like, "He's one of my greatest friends." He was like, nothing but amazing things to say about you, and I think that speaks to both your guys' characters. Yeah. And the relationship that you guys have. Yeah. So that's pretty cool.
I've always been a believer. I read a book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And you've got, the scarcity paradigm, and you got the abundance. and my wife does a great job of this with me, but I've always been a collaborator.
Yeah.
There's plenty of business for all of us. There's 8,000 realtors, and that's probably going to go down.
It's definitely going down.
Yeah, it's tough, right? But if you work hard and you look, you try to get better every year. I always try to take a leap of faith every year in the business, but I'm constantly, watching YouTube videos, meeting with other agents, having lunch with the Chris Sankers.
Yeah.
I listened to the entire podcast of Scott Euler, who's a fellow Bearcat, went to school with my wife at UC. You've got to keep getting better, right? In any industry, but especially this one,
right?
Because it's changing, right? Everything changes,
right?
Yeah.
On a daily basis. It's not like forget about what happened 3 years ago.
Right.
This is a completely different world we're living in. So
I started at the top in 08, top of the market, went through the bottom where, from 10 to 14, you guys realize we averaged like 35% of the transactions were foreclosures.
Wow.
That's wild.
Yeah. So we had 13,000 listings. Now we've got 2,000. Working with buyers was great then.
Yeah.
You had lots of options.
Where do you want to go? Yeah.
Yeah. But now they've got to make up their mind a little sooner.
Yeah.
So you're probably showing a lot less, but you're having to, you've got to, when a good one hits, you got to go.
You got to go right then.
That day, that night.
That hour.
Yeah.
In some cases.
One advice I'd have for the newer agents is I've had some success the last 2 years with backup offers.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard or if anybody's talked about that yet.
Yeah.
But gosh, I had a poor friend. My kids go to IHM, and they offered twice and were 100,000 over and lost.
That's wild.
In Anderson. And I said, you love this one. Let's do a backup offer. And I get it. It's extra work.
Right.
5% of the deals fall through. It's worth a chance. And I've had that a couple of times the last 2 years. I love that phone call from the other agent.
I bet.
You're not going to believe this. Or I had an agent tell me, boy, buddy, you're glad you just picked up the phone. That deal just fell through. Do you want, Rarely does the seller go back on the market, too.
Right.
I don't think they want to go through the hassle of 20 showings.
Exactly.
And, right? People going through your house and getting the kids out, dogs out, whatever.
Yeah. That's a great strategy.
But yeah, it's that strategy has worked out well for me.
So one of the things I am curious about. So John, I've known you for a couple of years now and had no idea about the tennis thing.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't know you were a tennis pro. And I'm wondering, so, obviously you grew a huge sphere and a network that way.
Yeah.
Was there anything else that you kind of took away from that experience or your past life, let's call it, that you use or that has made you successful in real estate, do you think?
I'm a people person. So I do a great job of networking because I love to network. So being down at my tennis events, I would always, and I enjoy this, chat with everybody.
Yeah.
Every single person there and get to know them and hear what they're doing in life, hear their story, hear about their family, hear about their hard times, their good times, their vacations.
Right.
So I've always been a great networker. I've always tried to talk to everybody and give everybody the respect, because I know I appreciate that. And then just servicing people. I had to service people then.
Right.
I had to learn follow-up. I wasn't the best then. But I got better through those tennis years. Right. Communication. We didn't have Facebook then.
Right.
Sure.
Gosh, that would have been nice.
Yeah.
Because you would have been able to communicate with everybody a lot easier.
Yeah.
We were starting to get into group emails.
Right.
So, but yeah, the networking, talking to everybody, listening to everybody, and then servicing them. Right. Getting back to people, returning phone calls, returning emails. That is something that I excel in and take pride in, is I get back to my people as soon as possible. Probably too much, which is why I told you before we started, I've got to learn to turn on that focus button.
Do not disturb.
Do not disturb on the phone, because, you can take away from the current service that you're providing if you're looking down at that phone.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
but it's hard because you got to be so on it, in this market too. It's hard not to.
Made the mistake of turning on Facebook notifications.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Recently, I've missed people reaching out to me. I mean, that is my wife's business. It's all Facebook.
Really?
Facebook Messenger. And I don't look into Messenger a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't open that up, but I'll look back every once in a while, and I'll see some, a prospective client reached out and I missed it.
Right.
Yeah. So that's
It's hard. There's too many avenues, too many channels to
to
keep up
communicate.
with.
Yeah. You're right.
Segue into your family a little bit. So, high school sweetheart.
Yeah.
You guys went to UC.
Yeah.
Dance team. They're like national champs every year too, aren't they? Like the
A
dance
lot.
team.
Yeah, a
Aren't
lot
they,
of
like,
years.
They always win.
Yeah.
So that's good. So you married a winner.
Yeah.
How many kids do you have?
We have 2 boys.
Awesome.
Let's see. Tate is a freshman at McNick.
Cool.
He's a basketball guy.
Very cool.
And, he's got the perfect blend of myself and Alicia in him.
Yeah.
He and I are best buds. We do a lot together. This summer we started to golf a lot together,
Great.
which is now my new passion. I love to golf. Terrible at it. I shouldn't say terrible, but I think I'm terrible.
Who's really good though? Come on,
Right.
You know, like,
Yeah, it's a tough sport.
Yeah.
but I love golf. I love the beauty of being outside. And then our youngest, Dane, is 11. He's a 6th grader, and he's completely opposite of Tate. And gosh, he blows us away. He plays piano, bakes, chess club,
That's awesome.
plays volleyball, tennis, golf, but just made me sign up for a seller Amazon account. Major entrepreneur already.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
He's wanting to flip video games at the moment.
I don't even know what that means.
It's amazing what those guys don't watch TV.
Right.
They're on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Right.
it.
Right.
A little bit of TikTok. We try to limit that. But it's amazing how that next generation, what their entertainment is different from what ours was,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Like they have classes at UC to be an influencer.
Yeah.
Like that would never existed when we were going
Yeah.
through school. Like, what's
Yeah.
an influencer?
Yeah.
There
So
was no such thing.
pretty wild.
But these guys teach us, even at 14 and 11, it's amazing what they're teaching us.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
What they know that we don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but those two, and Alicia, those two are our life right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's our focus. We love to travel. We love to travel with them. We just went on a cruise in September. My wife earned a cruise for us, and that was a challenge, staying in a bed in a small room
Yeah.
with 4 of us.
Oh yeah.
But we made it work.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but that's they're what we live for. God's greatest gifts.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
No question about it.
Absolutely. So where's your I'm stealing this question from Daniel because he loves to ask this question. Where's your favorite place that you've liked to vacation?
Oh boy, we've done Rosemary Beach,
Yeah.
kind of east of Destin there.
Yeah.
For
yeah.
8-9 years. My brother and sister-in-law found that 15 years ago.
Hmm.
So the last 8 or 9 years for spring break, we've gone there.
That's awesome.
And 2 years ago, we asked our boys, hey, you want to go on a cruise, Disney cruise? Do you want to go to Disney? Do you want to go Anna Maria in Mexico or Rosemary? And no question, Rosemary.
No
Really?
kidding.
Yeah. Walkability. You can walk to 3 town squares. There's so much to do. So many ice cream places and souvenir shops and neat little restaurants. Walk to the beach.
Yeah.
Fire pit, guitar player. What more can you ask for?
Is it one of those places that's getting like very touristy? Like
It is.
Anna Maria, when we started going there, was very low key, and you can kind of see
Yeah.
it's really starting to change.
Oh, yeah.
but
Yeah, it is. It's, but the good thing is you don't need to get in your car,
that's good.
Mhm.
but
That's
you're
awesome.
going to
That
wait
helps
for
a lot.
dinner,
Yeah.
So, but gosh, we all have our own appetites these days. So
Yeah.
half the time it's like the boys want this, we want this.
Right.
And now they're at an age where, okay, we'll get you pizza. We'll have, a few drinks. And then at some point they're like, okay, we're going to go upstairs in the condo that overlooks, one of the squares.
Mhm.
And then Alicia and I will either meet other friends or we'll go have dinner.
That's
you know?
awesome.
Yeah. So, but we did find our, my wife's sister's husband found Minnesota Key.
Yeah.
Man, that's so-
And I don't want too many people to know about it, but
Right. Keep
there's
it
only a
hush
couple
hush.
restaurants off the beaten path. It's outside of Inglewood.
Okay.
And so we did that last summer. Already booked this summer.
Really?
Minnesota Key. It took me about 8 times to try and remember how to pronounce it.
Minnesota. It's like Sarasota.
but it's it's the Anna Maria 15 years ago
Really?
or the Rosemary 20 years ago.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a great spot.
I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah.
We'll see you down there.
Yeah. Hope so.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Yeah.
What do you got, Daniel?
Well, one of my questions is about your why, but I think
Ah.
you've already kind of shared just now about your
Yeah.
family, your
Yeah.
boys being your why. But
Yeah.
one of the things that we've learned just from interviewing some of our other guests on this podcast is that your why can change. And so when you first started out, your why was probably more about just making money flipping houses and trying to get into that. Can you walk us through how that has evolved or changed for you?
Yeah. I would say my why has been for my family, but then also for my clients.
Yeah.
Buying, selling, moving, this transaction, as I get deeper into this, it's harder for people than what I originally thought. It's more stressful.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny when I go into photo shoot houses with you
I
guys.
know a little bit about that.
Yeah. The sellers are like, right?
Yeah.
They're exhausted. We all buy way too much.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Amazon's made that way too easy.
Yes, they
Yep.
have.
And the rooms in our basements and our garages have way too much stuff, right? We don't get rid of it because we think we're going to use something.
Right.
My tips to my sellers are: if you haven't used it in a year, or if you don't want it at the next place, donate.
Exactly.
Yeah. But so my why is for my clients and to make sure that Beth and I, and Beth's really good at this, make this transaction as easy for them as possible.
Right.
And make sure that we are helping them understand, building the expectations of what's about to happen,
Mm-hmm.
providing checklists, to-do lists, seller homework, explaining the process. I've got a great listing presentation that goes to them before I even get to the house. 10 things to know before your home goes live. Right. And but just trying to set up systems so that when everything does go live, it all smooths. It's just it all goes through so smoothly. Let's iron out all problems and let's make it as smooth as possible.
Sure. And setting those expectations, you're 100% spot on. That's so key.
Yeah.
Because it can be stressful getting photos taken and be like,
Yeah.
hey, we love these pieces of artifacts in our house, but nobody else in this world likes those. So we're going to need you to hide those.
Yep.
like sometimes it's hard to have that conversation. And I'm like, they did it at our house. I'm like, my grandpa gave me that, and they're like, sorry. And I'm like, okay, cool,
Right.
cool.
Yeah.
So
I saw an artifact on Saturday at a house in our neighborhood, and the seller told me it's from Africa. I'm like, might want to put that away.
yeah.
I've only ever had one thing stolen, and
Yeah.
I still regret that to this day.
Hmm.
I had a buyer walk in with an open house with a book bag,
Oh my gosh.
and I knew it. I should have said, nope, you're out.
Yeah.
You can't bring that bag in here.
Mhm.
So I never let that happen ever again. You learn from those mistakes.
Yeah.
Luckily, it wasn't a terribly expensive, but my seller, he lost a piece of memorabilia
Yeah.
that his dad had,
Hmm.
and I still blame myself for that. That was back at the beginning.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
such a shame.
That's terrible. People are ridiculous. Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
So, John, one of the last things we wanted to talk about with you, we'd love for you to share some advice for our listeners. But before we do that, just wanted to thank one of our other partners with this podcast, Back to Back Ministries. We're actually in their space here. This is their podcast studio. We're super grateful to them for letting us use this space. So wanted to just put something out there, an opportunity for you. Do you have a desire to serve vulnerable populations? Do you want to connect with a new culture and experience life from another point of view? Join Back to Back on a Discovery mission trip. Providing holistic family-style care around the world, Discovery trips allow you to join a team singularly or with someone you love. Through play, work projects, and learning more about a life in a different place, you can be involved in providing care for today and hope for tomorrow to vulnerable populations. If you want to learn more, you can visit backtoback.org. All right. We're super grateful to Back to Back for this space.
Thank you to them. This is awesome.
Really
Sure
great
is.
studio.
This is the real deal.
Yeah.
It
It's
is.
pretty fun.
All right. So to kind of close us out, John, we'd
Sure.
love to hear advice that you might want to offer. This could be advice for other agents who might be new in the business, and you can give us some advice for buyers and sellers in this market that we're in today.
Yeah, let's start with buyers and sellers.
Sure.
You know, I coach my sellers to, I'm like their gym trainer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you work your heart rate. You burn a lot more calories with a gym trainer, especially if you're in a group,
Sure.
right? So I'm their gym trainer. I push them to put their best foot forward. And I do that by, I lead by example. As you know, I'm going to do aerial shots, virtual tour, twilight shots,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to spend the money to make it look like buyers are walking into a brand new Mercedes dealership
Yep.
online
Uh-huh.
versus a used car dealership where you don't trust that
Yeah.
house when you
Mhm.
see it online
Yep.
versus one that looks great.
Yeah.
You walk in and there's flyers and a story and
Yeah.
everything is out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So sellers put your best foot forward. I'm going to.
Good marketing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Buyers, don't give up. Be patient. Look at plenty of homes. Every buyer I've ever had ends up in the home that were supposed to end up in, I feel like.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Don't be discouraged. Don't settle. There's
Right.
plenty of fish in the sea.
Mm-hmm.
Backup offers.
Exactly.
Yeah. For the newer agents, get under a good broker and manager. Go to the office. Wow. That's the biggest. I've always loved going to the office.
Yeah.
And that was part of the reason I wanted, collaborate with other agents, why I
Yeah.
wanted to join, a boutique, big name brokerage like ERA,
Mhm.
is that they were already successful. I was recruited by one of the agents, believe it or not.
Yeah.
But go to the office every day, learn from the other agents, do open houses, shadow other agents, and then find your niches. You can have more than one,
Mhm.
right? Church, gym, kids' school, hobbies,
Mhm.
right? And network. This is a networking business.
Mm-hmm.
But you've got social media now. So you've got to consistently figure out how to market, consistently.
Right.
And that's, for whatever reason, I've been able to do that.
Yeah.
God gave me that gift of networking and then just being persistent,
Yeah.
and it changes at times.
Sure.
Sometimes it's more networking. Sometimes it's more social media. When I
Mhm.
first started, it was blast emails.
Yeah.
Really?
I used exact contact. I could
Okay.
see who was opening up the emails.
Yeah.
And I would reach out to those people.
Unreal.
Yeah. So it changes for me at billboards now.
Mhm.
I was at a Halloween party and some guy comes up to me dressed as Forrest Gump and goes, "Hey, how's that billboard working out?"
I've seen
and
it.
I'm like, "Hey, it's all right, but you're talking to me now."
Yeah. No, you
know?
do a great job of branding yourself.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
all of those things you just mentioned, that's your brand, and you do a great job of that.
Thank you. There's not one exact thing that I can tell you that's perfect.
Right.
And it's kind of fun trying different things, but you got to go try.
Mhm.
You got to take that leap of faith.
Yeah. And I've seen
Whatever
your
that is.
billboards too. What is it? When you get the house, you get DeCurtins with
With every
it?
house you get to
There it is. I love it.
We were given that by Chris Hicks, an old neighbor of ours.
Oh, yeah.
And we thought, it's a little cheesy,
Yeah.
That was probably when we were in our early 30s. And we got into our late 30s. We're like, whoa, that's great.
Love it.
As we got older,
Yeah.
and everybody does love that. Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's a good tip too. Come
Yeah.
up with a
That's
slogan or something. saying.
It was a big eye catcher on that billboard. We were on 32 when I saw it.
Yeah.
And it was,
Yeah.
I looked at him like, man, that guy's great. That guy's
Yeah.
great. I love that.
Who
Yeah.
cares who cares if it's cheesy? It's
Yeah.
memorable.
Yeah.
It's like that's the important thing.
Get you remembered too.
Yeah.
We didn't come up with it. Chris Hicks.
That's all right.
I owe you, Chris.
Big
for
shout out,
There you
Chris.
that.
That's awesome.
So, but yeah.
Very cool.
Well, that's awesome. That's great advice. Anything else, Patrick?
I'm good, man.
You want to wrap us up?
Sure. So, John, man, always love connecting with you. Always love
Same.
talking to you. Thank you for being a part of this. It's been fun over the last however many years we've been able to network and work together. So, love your business. Love where you're going. Can't wait to see where it takes you. And anybody who's interested in buying or selling, Jon DeCurtins,
That's right.
ERA.
Well, thanks to you both. you're both assets to the industry.
Thank you.
You know, my mom works at my office.
Yeah.
First one there, last one to leave.
Yeah.
When your magazine comes, she brings it right to me.
She's awesome.
Every single time. So
she's
Teresa,
so welcoming too. When
Yeah,
you
She
go-
is. Yeah.
and Dan, you run a great business.
Thank
So ERA, you know, we love you. Keep it up. Keep building it. And
Thank you.
You help us, you know, sell our sellers' homes in a fashion that looks like a brand new Mercedes.
Mhm.
That's
So,
the idea.
thank
That means
you.
a lot. Thank you.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Good stuff,
Yeah,
man.
thank you
you
for
both.
coming on, and
My
it's been a
pleasure.
pleasure. Like I said once already, but I've known you for a couple of years, and I've learned
Yeah.
so much more about you just in this time together. So I hope
Yeah.
our listeners enjoy it as well.
Well, I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks, John.
Thanks, guys.